Grand Rising. I want to say, Imhotep, Ati, Asanaboti, Ati, Atapati, Hope. We in there like swimwear. Yeah, that is the real national greeting. So go ahead and say it. We want to see how many remember it. Because when it's up there. Y'all know I seen something very interesting, right? Homeboy say he on his island. Now, because it was a short clip, I'm not sure if he purchased this island, right? But he was showing Nicaragua, so we believe. And the interesting part that I want to highlight out of what I seen is it was his birthday first and foremost, right? Shut it live. It was his birthday, and he went into his whole spiel. And when he got to, I want to thank God, and he pointed up, everything stopped. And I just said, when they do stuff like that, and the big G know they are not genuine, what if something just dropped out the sky on top of their head? Now that would be something to see. Just all of a sudden, like a little pebble. I imagine a pebble at that speed coming from heaven would knock you out. That just put me in another thought process. What if something just randomly dropped on your head from the sky? Like Imhotep, Heru. That would be astronomical, right, y'all? I'm just thinking. Because, in some place, they say when people tap, tap, tap in the sky, they have to land somewhere. But what if the force of that ballet goes all the way up and gets stuck somewhere? That's a thought. We are here for enlightenment, apparently. It's like a misty, cloudy day. Yeah, just misty and cloudy. Which one of y'all named Misty? Well, we seen the flag, so. What y'all doing today? Just telepathically send it to Baphomet and he'll tell me. Because that is actually how it goes. You know what I'm talking about? Someone said, I do not want to communicate with Kafar because that's Baphomet. And it just dawned on him why he has excruciating headaches. Let me tell you about a vision that I see. The visions that I see are astronomical, right? This is something that the archangels requested because I'm a cherub. So no matter what fraction, what breed, when they know it's me, right? Really me, they treat me like a baby, you know. So they decided as a group, as a collective, because that's how it goes, right? That they don't want me to see the visions that they see, you know, like the stuff that's really taking place, you know. So I'm peeking around stuff, I'm teleporting, propelling, jumping through pictures and stuff, trying to see what's actually going on. I'm just saying, I seen a vision, right, of an elder, which is also a watcher. It's gonna come out in this reading that I'm working on. For those that don't know, I don't just pull cards, I shuffle them and they come out. When I go back to my old way, because I am gonna go back eventually, y'all will see. I just like the way of doing this because I'm on the go. The elder had a gavel. When she would bang, 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 bang on top of somebody's head. And then all of a sudden I heard, I got an excruciating, a migraine kind of sorts. This is what they do to the women cherubs. The little girls and the little boys do not encounter stuff like that. This is specifically for cherubs. So no matter how old I get, you get, if you're a cherub, if the big G told you that you are a cherub, that's how they're gonna treat you. They don't care how big you are, how many tots you got. They don't care about none of that. They're gonna treat you like a baby. Then they're gonna say, I'm gonna tell you how to really let it off. You know what I'm saying? Set it off. You know what I'm saying? And then you be sitting there in the rain talking about, all right, because that's what they do to cherubs. There's other fractions out. You know, apparently I let loose the monsters. Yep, I sure did. You were saying either why? Because this is how we do it. Y'all want to know why y'all can sleep peacefully, my members? Because I'm doing my job. Now, somebody decided 4 years ago to put monsters under the adolescents' beds. And I know it is a fact because my son, the one that has autism, said monster and pointed under the bed. And when I went to reassure him that it wasn't no monster under the bed, I looked under there and it was one of my crystals that I had placed there the very day I had that bed delivered. Some of y'all don't realize the extreme that individuals will go to just because it's Friday. They want to know who has gifts at a young age. Some of the stuff that I feel is really extreme that I don't want sensationalized goes on a higher tier for a reason. Because those that go to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 really got some stuff going on. And the ones that have been with me for years, they are aware. It's not just you come, this happened, and then you're all right. The big G makes a way when you're really trying to go on a self exploration, a spiritual one. The problem is a lot of people backslide. You start getting these blessings coming from out of nowhere, and you decide you need to do something like your old self did. Sleep with people that you don't need to sleep with. Start exploring into party favors like you used to. It could be your birthday or whatever. After you're in the safe zone, there's no need to go back. It's not the same. I heard one of the archangels tell someone, we told you, you're drinking too much. He said, somebody put a kamikaze on me. And he said, "No, that's the hand dog," because he passed out. You can't do that. Like, your body is too clean. This type of clean comes from the big G. This is something that you cannot establish by yourself. That means nothing that you ingest is going to clean you like the big G. Even if I can't stand him 2 seconds from now. Yesterday, last week, it still don't stop me from being a Sobri Natashi. That's just how it is. As a matter of fact, when you start being honest with your feelings about your relationship with the big G, things flow more smoothly. You end up with the fraction you're supposed to be with, and they accept you. Because if you go with a mask on, a false face, you're gonna be turned right around because they're gonna say you're not ready yet. And sometimes you gotta say, Big G, I don't like you. I don't like you today. And you can't be scared. And usually that comes when you got 1 foot in and 1 foot out. There's a crossroad. Maybe you need some help and your options are few. Some of y'all do it instantly, so it's no big deal to you. You like, I didn't build too much. I done been through too much. I done helped too many people. The thing about it when it happens on camera, for you celebrities, the ones that are attempting to program you while watching you live believe that it is them making that possible. One felt like if I said that I was not going to read for the up and coming elect ones, that they could somehow take that position as if. Because I got so mad, I said, you know what? They not really rocking with me like that. I done said this, that, and the third. What else do I have to say? If I come to you and I say, donate to PEKA 69, that's your way out. But it's not until you hear the tones, the frequencies, the all of that other stuff, and then you say, well, you start bargaining. These ones bargaining. Well, if I donate, will it stop? What am I gonna get? You're gonna get peace of mind, cause that's what it's about. Like some of y'all feel like y'all gonna finesse y'all way out of paying a karmic debt, and then you just end up with trash. And what you don't donate, they end up with some kind of way. Some of y'all got so many assets, you don't even know what's missing. They know it because you let them come back. It's ones that sit there and say, it's set. Because they feel like now they're going to convince you that they're putting a kamikaze on you. This is because they feel as if they say something that I said on live, that it'll work on you. Not that you'll believe that they are me. Why they do it is because they oop it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? These are the entitlement era. Everyone that y'all are hearing are individuals that benefited off of you not ascending in a past life. So I'm telling you, if you're hearing something, someone, something, these are individuals that benefited off of you not being in your rightful place at the right time. This one believes that he does not do destiny swaps, and it wasn't him, it was his mother that did it. If you were to get a past life, present karma energy pool, you would know it. So the way the big G is doing it now is he's putting you where you know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all feel like when we move, you hear things. These is the ones that feel like they can bind themselves to angels because as long as they're here, we don't hear all the ruckus. The ones that feel like it starts with them when we move feel like you destiny swapped with them. I'm talking about the ones that are is experiencing all the ruckus. And when I say ruckus, I mean ruckus. It's all kind of sirens, whistles, you know. There is something, a textbook term for it when we're talking about mental health. There's a textbook term for it, but I'm not going to say it. You know, when people start saying things like mental health, y'all gotta start saying what's going on because that's telling. Just all of a sudden, everyone is experiencing it. And when they do research and people start being honest about what's taking place, they say, okay, this, that, and the third. You did this, and we know because we done did the stats on it that when you do this, this happens. So that's what it is. Voila, we diagnosed you, type ish. You know what I'm saying? But they're not saying what else they're hearing. And it's because they participated in something that they shouldn't have. More than likely for finances. The reason why it's so publicized in media is because a lot of celebrities experience it, whether or not if they're saying it. Now you can say it's because your mother, you can say it's because your uncle, you don't know. Everybody just wants to, everybody and everyone wants to be able to live a life where they have all this money and no problems. Then we wouldn't be on earth. You wouldn't be where you're at. What if I said a life with no problems mean we don't use money? Then what would we do? How would we floss in front of people? If we don't have nothing to floss and nothing to prove, then how do we make someone feel less than? You know what I'm talking about? Someone believes that life should be about competition because all their life they were treated less than. So now a lot of people in the music industry had this belief because they weren't chosen. The girl from middle school didn't like them. The cheerleader didn't want to, sleep with them. You know, they didn't have a car at 16. Now, they're a millionaire. Now it's time to defecate on everyone coming up that ain't had nothing to do with none of their rearing. It's a cycle of madness. I mean, some of y'all could agree. Like, when does it stop? That one believes that if archangels are not around, if they could just play in your face and say, Archangel Michael, help me. Oh, I thank the big G, because before it was Jesus. Jesus, 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 Jesus. And it wasn't genuine. You get up on that podium and you say, I just want to thank Jesus because Jesus is God and God did this for me. Just misleading everybody under them. This is a fact because we all know that Jesus is not God, right? I done said this over and over and over and over and over. Just you got a high position, number one influencer, because all of the youth watch you. That is the biggest mistake anyone could ever make, because those that know the difference between Jesus and God will say, "They're not rocking with you no more because you misleading the youth." It matters because the youth become adults, and then they take over everything. If somebody sat there for 360 years talking to you in your sleep, every life, by the time you are reincarnated, you have this belief that something is the way that it is because it's supposed to be that way. Y'all gotta remember, he turned his back on us before, and this is how Jesus was introduced. Y'all know what I'm talking about? I said, I said one time, what was the belief system before Christianity? Because y'all know it has to be something, because he was the movement, right? So if he was the movement, that meant something was moved out of the way. It was not accepted as a fact before Jesus Christ. With the Najers, there was no belief like that. There wasn't. There was one belief because the big G communicated with everyone. That was the belief. That is the big G. You know, there was no separation. There was no, you have to follow this doctrine, you have to follow this doctrine in order to connect with whoever. Because you needed an intercessor. You needed someone there because you wasn't finna talk to him because he turned his back on everybody. He picked, cherry picked who could talk to him just like he do right now. I could be going through all type of stuff, nothing really big in his eyes. All the archangels saying she'll be all right. And I'm like, cold word, cold word. When they say I'm all right, that mean I'm going through it, you know. I said, y'all forgot what it's like to be in my position. It's no biggie to you because you know the end, but I still got to go through it. You know what I'm saying? So I decided at a certain point that materialism was the first thing to go. You know what I'm saying? I sat back the other day. I said, I remember 20s, 30s, and some of my early 40s. Nails done, hair done, feet done. Yeah, every week. Every week. You was not finna catch me slipping. I thought about the stuff, the perceived thoughts about older women when I would see them. Like they're not happy because they're not keeping their self up. I mean, some of that is true because I'm experiencing it. You start saying, look, I'm around a whole bunch of people that's doing bad. Do I really need to have a 27-inch wig on, weave in my head? Because first of all, they're gonna think you a streetwalker. Because the average woman, female, has a ponytail in their head. You know what I'm saying? You know, they're like, why are you so fancy? For nothing. We just living. Are you going somewhere? I mean, think about it. Because I grew up and raised my children in the Bay Area. That's how we do. Like, some of it is because my parents worked. They're getting up, they're showering, doing all type of primping because they gotta be in front of the public. You think about it. I seen a lady I seen a lady, right, and somebody from the hood will say she a knock, right? She said, "I got brand new white mattresses." I said, "You do?" And my mind start computing 20s and 30s and 40s. Like she do the do, you know? She do the do. Hair not done. She got about 5 or 6 little plait, you know how they just braid it down and just stick up at one point of the day, there was a wig on top of there. She hop out a new car, you know what I'm saying? One of them. She said, "I gotta go get my grandbabies," and I said, "That's what you supposed to do. That's why she able to move like that. You know, my grandbaby, functional." We start forgetting that things ain't right. You know, things is all the way wrong. They on one right now. Listen, when you see someone that has an ism and you want to diagnose what they're doing, then that means at one point in time you was just like them. That's not what I did. I said, Mama got some dough." You know what I'm saying? I diagnosed what they did to get that dough, not what they doing. I said, she jumped out of a brand new car, functional. Now, at some point, when you leave out the major reason why the earth is still existing, the children, that's when things become all bad. When you just forget that the children is the reason why we have stuff like Christmas, Easter. It's the enjoyment, not to be the best house on the block. How many of y'all decorate the outside and just sit and watch the children's reaction to what you done spent weeks doing? It's not that many. You know, when I decorated the outside of my Ascension home with lights and everything, I said, I'm doing this for my child because he wanted lights. He didn't really care about no Christmas tree, but I had one of those too. He seen lights on a commercial or an ad on someone's home and he wanted his to look like that. That's influence. You know, all of these holidays are for the children, not the adults. Because when you in a sound mind and body, you start doing the research on where all of this stuff stem from, and you decide that you don't want to be a part of that. But when the big G changed the meaning of it, that meant it was for celebration, regardless of what it started from. He reinvents everything because it's like you have some that believe because they allowed to do something that he is not present and that he don't care and that they will somehow evolve into making money off of doing something detrimental to someone else. And now we have our angels. Now, if the archangels were not present, who do you call? Of course, there's a system. There's a system, but the system is busy, right? So we are evolving, things are evolving, new systems are being created for the new energy, right? All type of, programs and things that are cost effective because the mint understands that we are in the midst of a upheaval and a potential tower. I know because it came out in the reading. There was a time, right, when my children were younger, that the firehouse would donate, that the firehouse would have a toy drive. They want you to donate. You heard her voice. The firehouse would have a toy drive. When I could not afford to purchase my children gifts, that's what we did. They knew that it was a handout because it was being handed to them. They knew it didn't come from Santa because they reached out and they grabbed it. You know what I'm saying? Basketballs are a favorite with adolescents, girls and boys, because at that age, all they want to do is play. It's important because some holidays, regardless if I was working or not, it was just it was just something. Remember, I didn't have 8 of those sections. So it was either the projects or pay the rent. And rent, because I lived in Frisco. You know, it was some holidays, and I'm telling y'all, I was working, and I couldn't get costumes and stuff like that. It just so happened that, not coincidentally, that when my children got old enough, they didn't want costumes, you know, and it just be right on time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Halloween. I don't have enough. I might be able to get this one something. They didn't want them. All they wanted to do was go trick or treat. You know, that was it, and that's what they did. The people opening up their door to give them candy didn't care if they had a costume on. That's for the little toddlers and stuff. That's where you get the real enjoyment. Imagine a 13-year-old walking up with a Jason mask on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because that's what he did. It's like as for the toddlers, you see them, you see the creativity of the parents, and everybody's spending their money or them stems to see someone else happy. That's what it's for. The same thing should apply to Christmas. Sometimes we go into these stores and we see donate a toy. You got the school, the school wants you to bring the toy. I have participated, you know. I went one time to ROSS and grabbed a few things for my adolescent child's school, girl things and boy things. And I said, When I put it down there, I said, "Some girl gonna be happy when she get this, 'cause I had the money to do it." It's important because when we start creating all of this content that we want to go viral, we have to remember that it's average people seeing this stuff. Average people that work 9 hours, 14 hours. But you know what I feel about these systems that we have, these I am so happy that my adolescent don't want none of these systems that cost 500, 600. Controllers cost a grand. You know what I'm saying? I'm so glad because it's just outrageous, and it's for a certain era that feel like because someone that's their age bracket, their age group got it, they need it too. Because if you working all the time, what you're gonna find is you not, and then you put your adolescent child on there and they end up all up in that PORN. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna say, "Well, how this happen?" Because it's a system. Access stuff. It's not safe. Yeah, it's very different from the Atari, the Nintendo of my day.